In the year 2054, mind control innovation has become broad, coming about in a very changed society. At a decent cost, people presently have the freedom to control different people, what's more, cause them to do heartless positions. At the heart of the questionable innovation is its maker, extremely rich person Ken Palace, popular for his mind control games, Society, and Slayers. The primary game, Society, is a virtual local area life recreation game. It is like The Sims, be that as it may. Rather than controlling a phony character, the gamers have some control over genuine individuals and cause them to do whatever they need. This is a mutually beneficial arrangement for all individuals. The individuals who are searching for some good times can sprinkle a few cash and cause others to take care of their responsibilities, while the people who need cash can essentially turn into a society symbol and get compensated. The game got such basic approval that Palace turned into the most extravagant individual on the planet very quickly. A while later, Palace made another game, Slayers. This dubious first individual shooter game is a recreation that gives the players full control of an individual, permitting them to showcase their generally savage dreams online before a worldwide crowd. The game purposes genuine death row prisoners as symbols, who are offered the opportunity to partake as an option in contrast to their capital punishment. The convicts who can endure 30 milestones are liberated. Albeit, nobody has at any point accomplished the accomplishment yet. Kable is the group's #1 in this game, having endured a record 26 matches. No prisoner has figured out how to endure more than 10 previously. He is only constrained by Simon, a youthful master gamer from a well-off family. The two keep on arising triumphant from each and every game, opposing all chances. Then, we see promotions of the game all over the place. Furthermore, how Kable just has 4 meetings left to accomplish opportunity. In spite of being a famous criminal, individuals are pulling for him to win. At one of these live broadcasted milestones, Kable goes head-to-head different players in an extraordinary gunfire. Each character procures focuses for saving a colleague and killing the adversaries. There are 2 others on the war zone, who are entrusted with doing humble positions like clearing, cleaning, etc. These individuals are apparently ignorant of the savagery around them. True to form, Kable figures out how to butcher everybody during the battle. In the following scene, the educated extremely rich person also, software engineer, Ken Palace is talked with by well-known network program have, Gina Parker. From the get-go, Gina presents Palace furthermore, his developments to the crowd. Palace created self-reproducing nanites that supplant cerebrum tissue and permit people to control other people's activities and transparent their eyes. Then, at that point, both of his record-breaking games, Society and Slayers, are advanced. Palace specifies that while Society is a source of pay for some individuals, Slayers zeroes in more on the amusement viewpoint. The detainees aren't paid a dime, yet makes no difference either way. Cash is produced from the live streams is given to subsidize the detainment facilities and other public framework. For this reason the US government has given full help to Slayers. Gina gets some information about the others who do modest undertakings in Slayers, and Palace answers that they are called Genericans. They are sent into the Slayers' current circumstance with pre-customized activities with nobody controlling them. Furthermore, no real way to respond. Genericans are fundamentally similar to NPCs in games. In the event that somebody is shooting close to them, they won't run, and will essentially convey on with their undertakings. Despite the fact that they as it were need to endure one game to acquire opportunity, their possibilities of endurance are close to nothing. After the meeting, a lobbyist association called the Humans hacks into the show's presentation framework, and a man calling himself Human's sibling claims that Palace's innovation will one day be used to control individuals despite their desire to the contrary. Hearing the transmission, individuals become interested, yet before Human's sibling can uncover anything more, Palace's men find its source and closed it down. Somewhere else, at the jail, Kable sits alone, watching individual detainees playing b-ball. He contemplates his family yet is soon hindered by another detainee named Oddity. Freak considers how Kable has figured out how to effectively pass 27 matches, leaving simply 3 to get his opportunity. He likewise asks how an individual like Kable wound up in jail. Albeit the last option doesn't answer, he gets a flashback, where a man is draining to death in a bound room. Back in his cell, a lady drops an image of Kable's better half and girl and requests that he sign a paper. She makes sense of that her child David is a major devotee of Kable, and needs a signature. At the point when he draws nearer to get some information about the image, the lady takes his blood test, guaranteeing that it would show his mark to be genuine. Somewhere else, Kable's better half, Angie, goes to function as a character in the public arena. In the game, the characters are wearing crazy ensembles. Angie's personality is constrained by a corpulent man called Crevasse, who makes her discussion to a man with a pig nose. The man begins to grab and kiss Angie, however her consideration is on her significant other's flag across the road. Abruptly, human sibling hacks the general public's framework and keeps on denouncing Palace. In the interim, the detainees are taken to their next war zone. When they show up, a merciless battle ejects. A few of them wind up dying from discharges, truck mishaps, fire blasts, also, other grim ways. In the interim, Kable sees a lady pre-modified to stroll over the milestone, obscure the vicious climate around her. Simon has Kable save the lady from a truck mishap and bring her over to a corner of the road. Be that as it may, when Kable is occupied by his adversaries, the lady again strolls up to the road, and gets run over by a truck. Notwithstanding the mishap, Kable and Simon dispense with every one of the adversaries individually also, at last arise triumphant. Seeing this, individuals from one side of the planet to the other eject in euphoria. Then, we at last get to see Simon, who is a rich, ruined whelp with the most recent innovation readily available. While lying on his bed, Simon orders online overhauled ammunition for Kable and furthermore talks for certain young ladies. Out of nowhere, his feed is hacked by humans, who show him film of Kable shooting a man in a restricted room. This is the motivation behind why he turned into a detainee. As Simon watches in shock, the unknown bunch inquires as to whether he needs to converse with Kable. The scene then, at that point, suddenly slices to Palace, who is prepared to present another prisoner, Hackman, into Slayers. The arrangement is to kill Kable before he dominates the two leftover matches and leaves the jail. Obscure to any other person, Hackman won't be constrained by a player, furthermore, in this way not be impeded by the ping that creates a little however perilous setback between the player's order and the Slayer's activity. Afterward, as Oddity and Kable are talking about their lives, they notice the startling Hackman. Freak uncovers that Hackman killed a gathering and handed himself over. In the following game, Kable is shocked to find Simon speaking with him since symbols. Furthermore, their regulators can't converse with each other. It just so happens, the humans hacked into the framework to make this conceivable. Before long, the fight results and Simon utilizes the live stream as a benefit to direct Kable. While avoiding gunfire and focusing back the rivals, Kable sees that Oddity, who has elected to be a Genericon, is clearing the road. Unfortunately, he winds up in the crossfire and has Chance dead. Soon after, as Kable is looking the edge, Hackman shows up at the scene. What's more, viciously goes after him. He then continues to polish off Kable. However, luckily, the game's timing runs out, no doubt stirring up a lot of help for Simon. In the meantime, Angie applies to get authority of her little girl Delia, who has been put with a well-off family. The case manager denies the application, reminding Angie that her occupation as a person in the public eye, and Kable as a sentenced killer won't ensure security for the girl. Somewhere else, as Simon is redesigning Kable's protection, he is again hacked by human sibling. The last option uncovers that with just 2 games staying until opportunity, Palace is arranging to kill Kable. Thus, they need to get him out right away. He then, at that point, urges Simon to surrender control of Kable during the game, and after a parcel of persuading, the young person at long last concurs. Back in jail, Kable is reached by something similar lady from previously, who illuminates him that Simon will relinquish his control during the last fight. What's more, assuming he needs to see his family, he wants to get away. Kable promptly concurs and tells the lady that he wants to become inebriated before the fight. On the last fight day, Kable goes for whatever he might prefer, up with a tactical armor carrier. he sees a container of vodka in his suit and savors it one go. In the milestone, Kable becomes intensely inebriated and oftentimes staggers on the ground. Seeing this, Simon chides him to stand up in the event that he needs to remain alive until their getaway plan. Sooner or later, Kable goes to a carport, compels himself to upchuck in an ethanol fuel tank of a truck, and pees in it. Shockingly, he can now begin the truck as a result of the ethanol from vodka. Be that as it may, not long before he drives away, Hackman sticks to the entryway of the truck and assaults Kable. The two battle for some time. Be that as it may, Kable in the end figures out how to get away by hammering the monster into a point of support. On the way, a few watchmen and vehicles pursue him. In any case, Kable figures out how to sidestep each and every one of them. Subsequent to making a portion of the vehicles crash into one another, he at last escapes the Slayer's border. Be that as it may, similarly as he leaves the truck furthermore, begins running, a rocket lands close to him and discards him. Luckily, he is left safe. In the meantime, the transmission of the game is halted, provoking the crowd to accept that Kable is dead. In any case, the television host, Gina, who is likewise observing the game, is positive that Kable is as yet alive. That night, Kable goes to his condo, however can't track down his significant other there. Since he hasn't met Angie since he was detained, he doesn't realize that she presently works as a symbol in the public eye. As he sits alone, a lady from the humans bunch approaches him. She presents herself as Follow, who is the same lady who reached him in the jail. She then takes Kable to the humans' central command. Their human sibling tells Kable that they took his blood test before to break the nano code which made it feasible for Simon to converse with him. He adds that Palace isn't willing to liberate him, so they assisted him with getting away. The humans needs Kable's assistance in bringing down Palace before everybody can turn into his slaves. At first, Kable is uninterested in assisting, yet, when he learns of Angie's current area in the public eye from them, he concurs. Then again, the break plan has put Simon in a troublesome position. He is marked a miscreant, kept out of his gaming account, and explored by the FBI for aiding Kable break. Inside society, Angie is being bugged by a man in a lodging. At the point when the man compels her to twist down, Kable shows up just under the wire and salvages her. Be that as it may, as the two are getting ready to leave, Hackman rises up out of the lift, shoots Kable in the chest, and removes Angie. Fortunately, Kable is as yet wearing his indestructible suit, and he supports no wounds. He then finds Hackman and an extreme battle follows. This time, Kable increases the high ground, and passes over one of Hackman's legs with a firearm. Soon after, 2 or 3 arrives at a spot, where a few society characters are moving. Indeed, even there, Kable is sought after by Palace's men, who open fire randomly. Right when it appears as though Kable and Angie are going to be killed, Gina approaches them in a vehicle and assists them with getting away. It ends up that she is likewise a piece of the humans, also, takes them to their central command. There, the gathering deactivates the nanites in Angie and Kable's minds, and the last option recalls that the first nanites were tried on him while he was still in the military. Be that as it may, he actually hasn't recovered full memory. Human's sibling then looks at Kable's mind and finds that he was at that point under Palace's control even before he was detained. It turns out that he became one of the principal guinea pigs to evaluate the new innovation. Tragically, Palace tried it to a limit, causing Kable to shoot his own companion. To this end he got detained. Afterward, Angie apologizes to Kable that she couldn't get authority of their girl. All at once, Follow shows up and uncovers to the couple that the rich dad who took on Delia is, in all honesty, Palace himself. After realizing this, an irritated Kable chooses to complete Palace unequivocally. That evening, he invades the tycoon's house and tracks down his girl. Nonetheless, he can't contact her, it just so happens to be a projection on the wall. Sooner or later, he finds Palace, who begins making sense of about his new development, controlling a few groups simultaneously. He additionally shows an exhibit by controlling his men and relegating them to go after Kable. Luckily, Kable figures out how to battle them all. Palace then, at that point, uncovers that while Kable came searching for him, his men found the humans, base camp also, killed every one of them. He additionally uncovers that 98% of his own mind has been supplanted with nanites. However, this permits him to control others, rather than be controlled. Moreover, he shares his extreme intent to deliver airborne nanites which will contaminate the whole US inside a half-year, giving him a definitive control. Then, Pallas takes Kable to a ball court, where Hackman is playing on the ground. He then assumes command over Hackman and relegates him to go after Kable with a blade. Fortunately, Kable figures out how to break his hands and snap his neck 2 times to kill him. Kable then attempts to go after Pallas, yet, he is frozen completely still. It would seem, the miscreants have proactively reactivated his nanites, permitting Pallas to assume command of him. Meanwhile, obscured to Pallas, Gina and Follow have gotten away from the Butcher at the Humans' Central Command. Resolved on vengeance, they broadcast Cable's nano-code to the world, showing a live feed of what he sees. This uncovered Pallas's arrangements, and the whole world betrays him right away. Back at the manor, Kable, who is currently completely under Pallas's control, gets gravely beaten. After this, the horrible extremely rich person arranges his men to bring out Angie, who was caught alive from the humans' base camp and their little girl Delia. Pallas then takes a stab at controlling Kable into killing his own girl. Kable, who actually has a bit piece of control, can oppose, however not for a really long time. Luckily somewhere else, Simon gets his record unblocked after he acquires public blessing once more. He quickly re-establishes command over Kable, and guides him against Pallas. Presently, with the fight being 2 against 1, Kable gradually focuses the blade at Simon. As the two battle for the blade, Kable advises Pallas to envision being cut. Pallas unwittingly does as such, permitting Kable to kill him and eliminating his command over everybody. With Pallas dead, the crowd supports the death of their expected slave master and tyrant. Kable then persuades Pallas's professionals to deactivate the nanites from everybody, liberating every one of the characters in the public arena and slayers. The film closes with Kable, Angie, and their little girl bringing a vacation not too far off.